Ron. Hey, Ron, can we have a quick reading up here without it going live? We're not on mic, are we? Okay. Great.
Hello. We added Laura as the lighters, even though they don't know that yet. So you'll have to deliver that message. I'm thinking just do the first one. We'll have you do that one, and then Eva will do that, and then we're good to go.
But you're asking if just the first sentence or the first section?
The first section. Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Stand, I think, close to Mike and Sharon.
Okay.
Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm Lillian, and I'm one of the fabulous, amazing kids in our Sunday morning children's program.
Hola, buenos días.
One, two, three, four.
briefly as past president of your Board of Trustees. Mi nombre es Adelina Marchini y mis pronombres son ella, ella. Sirvo con gratitud como ex-presidente de su junta directiva. Happy Pride Month. Feliz Mes del Orgullo. Welcome to everyone on our online church campus. Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Avenue church campus. Welcome to everyone joining at a time that works best for you through Facebook or YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Somos una congregación en muchos lugares. Each Sunday morning, we are blessed to have guests who are attending for the first time, either in person or online. What I'm about to say is specifically for you. Welcome. We are a proudly progressive religious community. Within this congregation, you are welcome no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. Those of us who are neurodiverse are welcome here. You are welcome no matter your level of formal education or the amount of money you have. Your disabilities are welcome here. Those of us who are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, gender expansive, queer, or questioning are welcome. You are welcome with or without documentation. Son bienvenidos con papeles y sin papeles. Whether we come filled with happiness and hope, or whether we come drained and despairing, we are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. Our Alluvial Avenue campus sits on the traditional homeland of the Yokuts people. We each are charged with learning about the history of genocide and forced occupation that occurred here and the ongoing impact that exists today. We also honor those among us this morning who identify as Indigenous. If a joy, sorrow, concern, or gratitude is in your heart this morning and you want to share it, you can text it to us and we'll include it later in the service. The text number is 559-337-3772. Be sure to include your name so we know who the text is from. You can also share in the chat box. Now, in our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary, in the chat box, or in the silence of our hearts, let's take a moment to say buenos dias and greet one another.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Happy Pride Month.
My name is
Tim, and my pronouns are he, him. As the incomparable Danielle prepares to offer our prelude, let the sound of the tingsha carry you to that place within that knows, even if your heart doesn't admit it on this morning, that you are loved.
Three, four.
You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. You don't own me. Don't say I can't go with other folks. And don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to say. And please, when I go out with you, don't put me on display. 'Cause you don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way. You don't own me. Don't tie me down, 'cause I'll never stay. I don't tell you what to say. I don't tell you what to do. So just let me be myself. That's all I ask of you. I'm young and I love to be young. I'm free and I love to be free. To live my life the way I want. To say and do whatever I please. And don't tell me what to do. And don't tell me what to say. And please, when I go out with you, don't put me on display. I don't tell you what to say. I don't tell you what to do. So just let me be myself. That's all I ask of you. I'm young. I love to be young. I'm free. I love to be free. To live my life the way I want. So just let me be. 'Cause you don't own me.
Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm Lillian, and I'm one of the fabulous, amazing kids in our Sunday morning children's program.
Hola, buenos dias. I'm Eva Vioto, and I serve gratefully as your Sunday Children's Program Coordinator. My pronouns are she, her. Buenos días, mi nombre es Eva Vioto y sirvo con gratitud como la coordinadora del programa de los niños y mis pronombres son ella.
If you're on our online campus and have a candle or chalice, bring it close because we'll be kindling our flames in a few moments. If you don't have a candle or chalice with you, please know that we'll be lighting our Alluvial Ave chalice on your behalf.
Imagine your hands cupped together and open as if to receive a gift. Can we do that together, please? That's what the chalice, the symbol of the Unitarian Universalism, represents. our openness to receive the blessings of the universe.
Into that openness, we place a flame, which is the fire of love, reason, and commitment. This is our chalice. Openness to receive the blessings of the universe, lighting up the world with our love. This is our Unitarian Universalist faith.
In that spirit, please light your chalice or candle at home as Timo, Laura, and Reed kindle the flame on our Alluvial Avenue chalice. Let us rise now in body or spirit and join in singing the song of praise, This Little Light of Mine, Mi Pequeñita Luz.
3, 4, 1, 2.
I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Mi pequeñita luz, la dejaré brillar. Mi pequeñita luz, la dejaré brillar. Mi pequeñita luz, la dejaré brillar. Brillará, brillará, brillará. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let's remain standing as we stay together our vision statement. The misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow
Spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated as we begin our welcome ceremony for our soon-to-be new members.
All right. Good morning. My name is Emily Blair, and my pronouns are they, them. I joined the church at our last new member service on March 17th. Today, I'm happy to help welcome our newest members. Our reading this morning is entitled, Why You Want to Join a Unitarian Universalist Church by Reverend Roy Phillips, liberally adapted by Reverend Tim. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it stands against superstition and fear, because it points to what is noblest and best in human life, because it is open to people of whatever race, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it believes love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it has a free pulpit, because you can hear ideas expressed here which could cost any other minister their job. You want to support it because it is a place where children can come without being saddled with guilt or terrified of eternal damnation, where they can learn that religion is for joy, for comfort, for gratitude, and for love. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it is a place where walls between people are torn down rather than built up, because it invites us to work together to become a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where all thrive. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it is a place for free thinkers and those who insist that we must work out our own authentic spiritual beliefs, because it knows that our human understanding is never complete and never perfect. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it is more concerned with human beings rather than dogma, because it is searching for the holy rather than dwelling upon the depraved, because it calls no one a sinner yet knows how deep is the struggle and how great is the hunger for what is good. You want to join a Unitarian Universalist church because it can laugh. You want to support it because it insults neither your intelligence nor your conscience, and because it calls us to honor what is truly worthy of our love. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Cecily Callahan. Good morning on this new member Sunday. I'm Cecily Callahan and my pronouns are she, her. As this congregation's coordinator of community life, it is my great privilege to introduce 8 wonderful people who are choosing to become members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. Everyone is present this morning in our Alluvial Avenue campus, but if they weren't, they would be with us in spirit or on our online campus.
Good morning. I'm Adeline Marchini, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve gratefully as past president of your Board of Trustees, and I am here representing the entire board. Buenos días, soy Adelina Marchini. Mis pronombres son ella, ella. Sirvo con gratitud como expresidente de su junta directiva y estoy aquí representando a toda la junta.
If you are present on our Alluvial Avenue campus, we hope you will stand when you hear your name. As you are able, we ask you remain standing for our entire welcome ceremony. If you're a part of our online campus, we welcome you to stand in spirit or in body. I ask us to hold our applause until later in our welcome ritual. This morning, we welcome into membership Melody Allen, Rachel Anderson and Alex Ramirez, Allison Morton, Kyle Osborne, Lori and Mike Palmer, Belle Piance,
As minister of this congregation, it is a true joy to welcome each of you into our community, a community of memory and a community of hope. To each new member, I ask, will you walk together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership? Will you bring your hopes and enthusiasms, your questions and your fears? In community with us, will you help us fulfill our mission to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice? If so, please say, we will. Members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, will you welcome these dear ones into our congregation? Will you be open to their unique gifts, their perspectives, and the change they're gonna bring? If so, please speak these words of welcome with me as they appear on the screen. Welcome into this community of spirit, love, and justice. We join our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are part of us, and we are a part of you.
Becoming a member of this church is an important step, but it is only a first step. On behalf of the congregation, I charge you, new members, as well as our longer-term members, to grow in your Unitarian Universalist faith. I also charge you, as well as our longer-term members, to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need you. We need your energy. We need your ideas. We need the gifts of your time and, if possible, your financial support. Give generously of yourselves, and your rewards will be great.
Each one of you brings light, vitality, and renewal. Each of your lights has a common source. Together, we form a beacon of hope to each other and our wounded and beautiful world. May your light shine brightly among us for many years to come. From our online campus, we have words of welcome from Ida Jones, President of our Board of Trustees.
Greetings, new members and all members and friends attending on the Alluvial Avenue campus, online now, and listening to the service in the future. I'm Ida Jones, currently serving gratefully as President of the Board of Trustees. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to our church, the Unitarian Universalist Church, Fresno. I'm so glad you've chosen to settle in our love and embrace our house filled with people holding many spiritual beliefs and practices. Our church is one that welcomes you into its arms, which encircle you as you are, and with all that entails as humans on this journey called life. Please know that we are here to accompany you on that journey. Ask and we will do what we can to help you. I usually attend online, virtually. On those occasions I attend in person, I look forward to the opportunity to speak with you and extend a personal welcome. And if you see me, I'd also reach out my arms to hug you, if that is your wish. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno.
In that spirit, from both our Alluvial Avenue campus and our online campus, let us offer our warm applause to the newest members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno.
Our next New Member Sunday will be November 10th. But you can always join anytime privately. Just speak with or email Cecily Callahan, our coordinator of community life. Come join us on this shared spiritual adventure.
And speaking of spiritual adventures, let's bless our children with song as they follow Eva down the center aisle and out to their own spiritual explorations. Let's sing.
We hope to
I invite us to settle into our seats, settle into this space together now that the children have left, and let's together just take in a grateful breath, breathing in peace and breathing out love. Again, we breathe in peace breathe out love. One more time, breathing in together, we breathe in peace. We breathe out love. As we continue breathing together in this space, this sanctuary made holy by our beating hearts, I invite us to breathe and imagine that breath can carry you back over the last week, the last 7 days of your living. And as you breathe into the memories of that week, a question. In the last week, where did you experience beauty? In the last week, when did you embody kindness? I think of it as an act of kindness that we offer each other each week when we say, come as you are, bring whatever's in your heart, your joys, your sorrows, your gratitudes, and your concerns. Some of us wrote them down on cards on the small table as you entered the Alluvial Avenue sanctuary. Others from our virtual sanctuary texted or put them in the chat box. This is a little of what is alive among us today. Eva V has a joy. I want to celebrate and acknowledge my babies, Timothy and Madison, for completing another year of homeschooling. This is Eva's 8th year homeschooling. Timothy is off to middle school, still homeschooled. Madison is going into 5th grade. Mom says, good job. Patty P. is saying congratulations to Darcy W. for retiring from Fresno Unified School District after 40 years of working as a teacher in that district. Darcy, yay. Claire T. has a gratitude and a joy in their heart today, celebrating the birth on Thursday of my nephew, Finnegan Finn. Got to go up and visit him yesterday. Wonderful. Welcome to the world. Betty P. is feeling gratitude for her good friend and neighbor, what already at the hospital when she experienced a major cardiac arrest, and she is recovering. And again, the gratitude is she was actually at the hospital when that happened. Robin is feeling great joy and gratitude for the gift of a 4-wheel all-terrain scooter from breaking the barriers, giving me the opportunity to be outside in the beauty of creation. Wonderful, Robin. Robin C., this is also, Robin, can you say that? Myasthenia Gravis Awareness Month. May awareness bring a cure. May it be so. And Talia is feeling a sorrow this morning, knowing it is this week was the 10th anniversary of the Sandy Hook Massacre, the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre, and the 80th anniversary of the landing in Normandy to end fascism in Europe. We also acknowledge and celebrate the rescue of 4 of the hostages held by Hamas, even as we grieve so many civilians were killed in that operation. We're also grieving the attack in central Gaza on the school. There were 40 people killed, including 14 Palestinian children with bombs paid for by our tax dollars. We also remember our beloveds, KP, Bev F, Sam Z, Glenda R, and Pat M, Armin B, unable to be with us in person, but always here in spirit, and we are with them in spirit. And as we've said multiple times, but heck, let's say it again, we continue to celebrate LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. Also Caribbean American Heritage Month, and Wednesday was World Environment Day, and we're seeing already in the record-breaking heat of this not yet even summer, the ongoing impact of climate change that is human created. For all of that has been shared, for everything that we hold in the sacred stillness of our own hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to speak their name with tenderness or love, we light our candle of community. By our remembering, may we and they be blessed. Led by Doug, our call to meditation is called Blessed Unrest. The end of the month, the 25th, will mark now the second anniversary of the egregious overthrow of Roe v. Wade. In the subsequent 2 years, it seems as if the tide is turning against those who identify as women, as more attacks on their freedom of choice are stripped away. I want to acknowledge that for so many in the room, this is personal. This causes deep, deep grief, and it instills great fear, which is the point of why they are doing this. As someone said to me this week, somebody who has lived through decades, they said, "Why do men hate us so much? Why are they so afraid of us?" I was asked to revisit a sermon that I first offered in 2019 about America's first feminist. But for those who may remember this sermon, I invite you to hear the words again, but in the context of how so much has changed since these words were first shared. And for those of us who haven't heard, this is a story of one of Unitarian Universalism's greatest sheroes. To prepare for the story, I invite us to rise in body or spirit. The tide is rising, and so are we.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. And this is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Please be seated. I realized that when I spoke the words that introduced that hymn, I referred to the increasing attacks against women's rights, I also want to acknowledge that simultaneously the attack on the freedom of trans and non-binary individuals also continues at a terrifying rate. And we want you to know you are safe here, you are loved here. She rocked their world. She was a stick of feminist dynamite tossed down the starched white shirts of America's patriarchal establishment. She was a perpetual percolator, churning against those who preferred their society and spirituality to be suppressed, stagnant, and staid. For her, life was a self-made intellectual and experiential adventure, a chance to cultivate the human mind, heart, and intuition. In a world that expected subservient conformity for women, she broke the mold, remaking herself into this magnificent mystic who unleashed this country's women's rights movement. She was Margaret Fuller, the spiritual godmother of modern Unitarian Universalism. We would not be here today as Unitarian Universalists without her. Yet, why do so few of us know her name? Why doesn't Margaret Fuller blaze as brightly as her friends and intellectual equals of the early and mid-1800s, men such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman, and Nathaniel Hawthorne? Why is her name not said with reverence? A leader in the 19th century intellectual flowering of America, known as the Transcendentalism, Margaret Fuller has been pruned from our collective consciousness, and I would argue deliberately, because of her gender. Consider just a few, and I mean just a few, of her many accomplishments. Margaret Fuller was the first literary editor of a major U.S. metropolitan newspaper, the New York Tribune. She was the first major U.S. foreign correspondent, spending 4 years reporting in Europe. She was one of 19th century America's most highly paid public lecturers. Margaret Fuller was a celebrated author of 5 books and almost 350 articles, essays, and poems. She was the first woman to set foot in and use Harvard University's library, which had previously been restricted to men only. You go, Margaret. And most notably, Margaret Fuller was and is the author of the first book on women's rights written by an American. Biographer Eve Kornfeld writes, Margaret Fuller's friends and foes alike agree that she was an unforgettable central figure in early 19th century America. The Unitarian philosopher and author Ralph Waldo Emerson considered her a shining light in his intellectual circle. He wrote, Margaret Fuller was wise, sincere, accomplished. Her mind and spirit so impressed Emerson that he was unable to imagine anyone more variously gifted, wise, sportive, or eloquent, who seems to have learned all languages. As Margaret Fuller once said, I now know all the people worth knowing in America, and I find no intellect comparable to my own. Margaret Fuller friends, was all of this in the early 1800s, at a time when women had no right to vote, had limited access to education, and faced overwhelming social pressure to remain silent and subservient. Margaret Fuller was also a faithful Unitarian who stretched herself spiritually and ultimately embraced a new, authentic, and natural relationship with her higher power, a oneness in all creation that she called God. Margaret Fuller was born on May 23, 1810, in Cambridgeport, Massachusetts. She was born into a white Unitarian middle-class family. Oh, and her ordinary years were not ordinary. She recounts an emotionally stifling childhood, one she describes as being filled with, quote, glooms and terrors. In her memoirs, she said she had, quote, no natural childhood. To understand why Margaret Fuller says her childhood was not natural, we got to remember what gender meant in the early 1800s and how gender roles were carefully constructed. As biographer Eve Cornfield states, early 19th century American culture fostered the belief in a dualistic opposition of masculinity and femininity. Popular literature and science supported the idea that gender was binary and men and women had a different inherent essential nature. They said women were compassionate, self-effacing, and mentally inferior. Men, on the other hand, were rational, selfish, and intellectually superior. You can hiss at that if you want. To challenge these gender roles and binary boundaries meant to be branded unnatural, for these cultural constructions were taken to be unchanging and unchangeable and divinely ordained by God. The social inferiority of women, it was widely believed, even among Unitarians, was God's design. What God had put in place, let no man and certainly no woman pull asunder. Author Eve Cornfield says that, quote, different methods for educating boys and girls reinforced these beliefs. Language itself became divided according to gender. Middle-class boys studied the classics, mathematics, natural science, history, and theology, and they learned an aggressive language suitable for debate. Those few middle-class girls who attended female academies and finishing schools studied literature, art, languages, dance, and music. They were taught deliberately a docile language intended to soothe and smooth over controversy. The different interests, talents, and modes of expressions of girls and boys, carefully cultivated during their formative years at home and at school, were then taken as further proof of this natural gulf between the male and female worlds. Margaret Fuller and her childhood upended all this. Although she was a girl, she was intellectually and temperamentally raised as a boy. Her father, who had no desire for a daughter, raised Margaret's mind as if she were his son. As Dr. Tandeka recounts, quote, Margaret Fuller's father, Timothy Fuller Jr., was also her tutor. He was a staunch old-line Unitarian rationalist, a lawyer who had served 4 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. He tyrannically ruled over every aspect of Margaret's life, endeavoring to raise her as the boy he had wanted. Paternal love from this man was earned rather than freely given. If Margaret achieved, she had worth. If she did not, she was not loved. Thus, Margaret Fuller became the ultimate overachiever. She could read and write by the age of 3. By 6, she was translating Virgil from Latin into English. By the time Margaret Fuller was 9, she read literature in 4 languages and wrote literary critiques of major European philosophic and literary texts. Tandeka continues, she developed a confident language of analysis and debate. The little girl learned to argue like a boy. As biographer writes, each night at the end of Margaret's grueling day of scholarship, when her father returned home from work late at night, he would awaken her and make her for hours recount what she had learned during the day. Reflecting on the years she endured this paternal invasive abuse, Fuller said, quote, I did not go mad, as many would. I had too much strength to be crushed. And since I must put on the fetters, I could not submit to let them impede my motions. My own world, Margaret Fuller said, sank deep within, away from the surface of my life. But my true life was only the dearer that it was secluded and veiled over by a thick curtain of available intellect. This turning within allowed Margaret Fuller to slowly develop a deep and imaginative, emotional inner life. This inner world would ultimately prove her salvation. She began to listen to a quiet inner voice, a gentle inner guidance. She began to feel inside the presence of the divine spirit within her. It left her determined to save her life, to claim her life as her own, and by extension, to liberate women from the restrictions of patriarchy. This was not an easy feat, for she would have to bridge the contradictory masculine and feminine identities that had been forced upon her. For although he raised her intellectually as a boy, Margaret Fuller's father never let his daughter forget her passive place in a male-dominated world. Dr. Tandeka writes, Margaret Fuller's father believed the role of a daughter was that of absolute service to him. He was tyrannical. Margaret learned to conform to his absolute desires and expectations as son and as daughter. Her life became a mix of contradictions. As she explained in a letter written in November of 1832, quote, I have 2 souls, and they seem to roll over one another in the most incomprehensible way. All my tastes and wishes point one way and seem forced the other way. To remedy this, Dr. Tandeka observes, Fuller undertook the grueling work of uniting her 2 souls, her male-trained intellect with her inmost personal feelings and intuitions as a woman. She wanted to become an intelligent woman rather than a woman with a man's mind. This union of mind and heart, body and intellect was hard won. And then, one day, when she was 21 years old, while taking a walk home from attending a Sunday service at the Unitarian Church, Margaret Fuller had a powerful transformational moment that changed her life forever, and by extension, changed our lives. She had what she believed was a profound mystical experience with the oneness of all creation. She had just stopped to look at an ordinary stream, but as she watched that stream flow, it was as if she felt she was looking at her own life, and then beyond her own life to the greater all. Margaret Fuller wrote, quote, "I paused beside a little stream which I had envied in the merry fullness of its spring life. In summer, it now was shrunken, voiceless, choked with withered leaves. I marveled that it did not quite lose itself in the earth. Suddenly, the sun shone out with transparent sweetness and passed into my thought a beam from the true sun, from its native sphere, a beam of light which has never departed from me." In that moment, Margaret Fuller realized that a profound unity, an essential oneness undergirded the universe. She saw differentiation melt away. The separate became the all. On the deepest level, differences and individual circumstances she believed were a human-created illusion because there was only oneness, the all, because creation was all one. She wrote, quote, "I saw that there was no self, that it was only to live with the idea of the all, and all was mine. This truth came to me, and I received it unhesitatingly, so that I was that hour taken up into God." This mystical merging with the all became the foundation for Margaret Fuller to build a life that was uniquely hers and whole, and yet a life that she dedicated to the universal all. Candeica writes, "It was at one and the same time a mystical experience and a transformation of herself into a human rights advocate. Anything that separates one person from another, she came to believe, must be deconstructed. This," Eve Kornfeld says, quote, "her unfolding spiritual vision challenged the prevailing social construction of gender. The division of humanity into strict gender spheres, Fuller now believed, was ultimately unnatural, a partition of the universe's true essence of oneness. What was one could not be divided." And so Margaret Fuller became passionate about guiding others to experience the divine essence within all. She loudly proclaimed human rights for all: women, blacks, indigenous people, enslaved persons, imprisoned persons. She wrote prolifically, she lectured widely, and discussed deeply. Margaret Fuller became one of the most influential and popular figures in America. Biographer Kornfeld writes, "She hoped that open discussion of philosophical and social issues would lead women to explore their hidden resources and develop their own voices. She invited women to shed their feminine socialization and to think of themselves first as intelligent human beings. In learning to speak their minds and respect themselves and each other," Margaret Fuller believed, "women could aspire to realize their divine potential. Their deep wisdom and intuition could emerge as purpose and activity as they collectively brought the power and claimed a power to recreate themselves and the world." Margaret Fuller brought this power into our Unitarian faith and into American society at large. Although she didn't live long enough to see it, Margaret Fuller laid the foundation for Seneca Falls and the 1848 launch of the women's rights movement. Unitarians Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton later wrote that Margaret Fuller, quote, possessed more influence upon the thought of American women than any woman previous to her time. But she was not just a woman for women. Fuller believed that spiritual and social liberation was for all people. She believed all people could be freed from the separating illusion of gender roles, class expectations, racial profiling, and nationalistic posturing. This could be the birth of heaven on earth, Margaret Fuller believed, the bestowing of an earthly, universal salvation for all. We need to be honest. We need to be honest and acknowledge that Margaret Fuller also bumped up against her own limitations regarding gender, race, and class. She was raised and lived in a white-dominant culture and a white-dominant religion. The women she associated with and tried to liberate were primarily upper-class white women. The legacy of whiteness, of racial and class segregation, still inform our contemporary Unitarian Universalist faith. Margaret Fuller also understood gender as only binary, rather than the non-binary reality that our progressive religion now celebrates. But Margaret Fuller's limitations do not mitigate how revolutionary her impact was on America. Who knows what Margaret Fuller could have helped us achieve? Who knows what else she could have thought, written, or visioned? The last 4 years of her young life were spent abroad as a foreign correspondent, writing and reporting European current events, expanding her view and understanding of the world beyond America. On July 19th, 1850, as she returned home from Europe with her husband and 2-year-old son, Margaret Fuller's ship was caught in a storm off the coast of Fire Island, New York. During the 12 hours that the waves tore at the broken ship, Margaret Fuller clung to her 2-year-old son, Angelino, singing to him to calm his terror. On the shore, people could see folks on the boat, the ship, but the storm was too fierce. There was no way to rescue. And she clung to her son. Writer, spiritual guide, and teacher Margaret Fuller was also a mother. And that night, mother, child, and husband perished. Her body was never found. Margaret Fuller was just 40 years old. We lost an extraordinary woman who shaped our greater spirit, our collective consciousness, and what has evolved into our contemporary Unitarian Universalist faith. As biographer E. Kornfeld so beautifully stated, in her lifelong quest for complete humanity, Margaret Fuller provoked her generation and still speaks powerfully to ours. The Reverend Dr. Tendeka writes, Margaret Fuller taught America how to think, feel, and act with non-dogmatic, life-affirming integrity. She showed Americans how the human heart transforms liberal faith into action. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole round world to hear. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love in my heart, remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree that everyone should be free. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things that I know I can do, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. Well, I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing, 'cause I know, yeah. Then I'd sing, 'cause I know. Yeah, I'd sing, 'cause I know how it feels to be free.
Hello, good morning. On the second Sunday of each month, we hold a special offering for a social justice group, organization, or individual that is in alignment with our Unitarian Universalist values. Today, I have the honor to introduce Nancy Whitlow, the founder of at the Dakota Eco Garden. I frequently volunteer there at the garden, so I personally know how much this organization helps our community. Nancy will share briefly about the life-transforming work of the Eco Garden Village Project. Let's give a warm welcome to Nancy Whitlow.
Okay, I'm just going to start, and they're going to get there. And they are my friends and helpers, believe me. And there are a lot more of them who are there right now. Okay, but first I'm going to start by saying thank you to all of you, the Unitarian Church. I'm not a member, Jerry is. But, well, the Unitarian Church got me started. I hope you can understand me, God. There was the firewood brigade. Some of you remember, some of you were in it. And that was my first participation in helping homeless people, in seeing what it was like for them to have to be outside no matter what weather. In this case, we were concerned with the cold weather rather than the hot. Probably the hot weather is even harder. You can't just build a fire to get warm. You're already warm. Okay, I got it. Remember not to ramble. I am very, very proud to be known as the founder of the Eco Garden, the Dakota Eco Garden. Dakota just because it's on Dakota Avenue, right? And it's a nice sound. So I'm very proud of it, but I am so extremely aware that if it hadn't been for a whole lot of other people, well, I would have failed miserably. I just didn't really know what I was doing. In a way, none of us were, because it was pretty new. But everybody worked together and figured it out. We had Art Dyson on our team, which I think kind of kept the city's, I don't know what the word is, dogs at bay. And that doesn't apply to all dogs either, does it? Okay. So, you know, I think they didn't touch us because he was there. He was designing some of our small houses that the Unitarian Universalist Church helped finance the building of. And if any of you haven't come to see us, okay, the first thing you can do is stop at the table out there. There's lots of really nice pictures and brochures and people to talk to. These people all will be there. And so I hope, and you can make an appointment with Jerry. He's always there. I never get to see him. Okay, I used to be, I gotta finish. I knew it. Okay. I just want to say, Reverend Tim, I don't know where he is, and everybody, that service was fantastic, you know? It really was. Okay, who knows? Okay. I am so not up with the she, her, but that's me, okay? I'll get with it. Is that right?
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay. Time is up. Thank you, guys.
In that spirit of giving, let us join our voices in our call to offering, which will appear on the screen. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not gentler, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Here's a slide showing you how you can make a financial contribution. If you are on the Alluvial Avenue campus, you can also drop cash or check into the basket on your way out. The morning offering for Eco Village project will now gratefully be received.
extinguimos esa llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
Just again, a reminder about who Kathy picked that up from the ushers. Also, we just want a quick introduction to Cecily, who is our coordinator of community life. If you are new or newish, and I know there are a lot of new folks here today, Cecily's your go-to person to find out more about the church and how to connect and belong. Today, we have a new member Sunday potluck, salads and sandwiches. There's enough for everyone. So if you didn't bring something, we still want you to stay. It's the connection, the community that is most important. Because it's so hot outside, we are going to bring the potluck inside where it's air conditioned, which means we're going to need some help as the service ends, moving any tables and also moving chairs around to make room for everybody. Also here, there will be a newcomer table, and our past president, Adeline, will be hosting a lunch there. So if you're new and you want to have someone to talk to who's just wonderful, Adeline will be there to converse with you. Also want to let folks know that the Noroma Walker Youth Library is holding an open house as the potluck continues to kick off their annual summer reading program. You can check out a book or two and also have some snacks. It's a really great library. Our families are encouraged to go there. The first Sunday of every month, and it's actually the second, because we didn't want to do it during our bridging service. This is a reminder of the fire drill and the way we exit the sanctuary. If you have kids, our staff will take care of them and get them into a safe space in the fields. You don't want to go and try to get them. If you feel able-bodied, you want to cross through the sanctuary out the doors where Betty is waving. You're going to go around the courtyard. You're going to go through the garden, keep going until you get to the field where you'll be safe. For folks who feel like that is too much and too far, you're going to just gently go down the front of the aisle here, head over to what is my right, and go and be in front of the office. So we do this monthly just to remind everybody. Last but not least, we want to welcome any guests who are here for the first, second, or third time. We do this not to embarrass you, but we're genuinely glad that you are here. So if this is your first, second, or third time, if you could rise for just a moment so that we can gently welcome you. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them for our closing words and then our sung benediction. If you're comfortable and want to join hands with folks that you came with, feel free. If not, hands over your beautiful beating hearts. These words are by Maya Angelou. She carried forward the social justice vision of Margaret Fuller and so many other remembered ancestors who came before her. The words of Maya Angelou. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward
potluck.
2, 3, 4.